Hi, I'm Adam from AJ Signature Films, and I'm on my own today, so unfortunately my better half Jasmine, she's out of the country currently, so you are unfortunately stuck with me. But to get straight into the video and what we're hoping to do today, I'm going to take my camera out. It's a Panasonic S5IIX, so I've got the full unlocked bit rates that the camera is capable of. I'm going to do a few different videos of the same subject and zoom in, zoom out and so on. And show you the difference between 1080p at, let's say, 200 megabit per second, the 4K 200, 6K open gate 200, and then compare that to, let's say, the 400 meg and 800 meg 4K, and finally up to Apple ProRes. I'm not going to be shooting any Blackmagic RAW as I don't have the facility to record that, because you do need an external monitor with a recorder in it for that, which I don't have, but I will be recording directly into an SSD hard drive, which I'll pop on screen up here somewhere. That will allow me to do up to the 6K Apple ProRes, which is still 1600 megabit per second, so it's still got a really high bit rate. Really to see if the bit rate will actually make much of a difference in terms of the quality, because the downside to the 6K open gate that the camera is capable of is it means it's only got 200 megabit per second bit rate, so the quality could be slightly lower, but it's whether it's worth it to have this sort of extra vertical headroom, which I'll show you the difference now. So I'll show you now the wide angle uncropped on the 6K open gate, and then change that into the vertical, put a frame on that, you can sort of see the difference. Now, those bit rates might make a big difference when I'm looking at it on the computer here, but once it gets onto YouTube, that'll be the big question. Apple ProRes at 1600 megabits per second really be any noticeable to the 6K open gate at 6K, for example. So is it really worth that sort of trade-off? That's the big question. Now, if you're not sure what I mean when I'm talking about bit rates, I'll leave another video link in the description below, and that's actually to a fantastic video that Tom Scott did on YouTube a few years back, and it's basically showing you about bit rate and the lower the bit rate and how it has to sample differently, and it starts to break up the image slightly. YouTube will have some form of compression on it anyway, so like I said, we're going to get the full benefit of that on this platform, but he goes into a lot more detail than I possibly could, so I suggest checking out that link. So everything I shoot today is going to be shot on Vlog. I'm going to try and keep the settings as similar as possible between the shots. I'm going to be shooting with two different lenses. This one currently is the Panasonic 18mm f1.8 S lens, and I'm also going to be shooting on the 50mm S lens, the 1.8 as well. So hopefully those prime lenses will give us a little bit better quality. Okay, so we're now shooting on 1080p in all-I 10-bit. That's 200 megabit per second. That's a feature I think you only get on the Panasonic S5II upgrade and the S5IIX. You won't get that on the standard S5 model. So this is on the 18mm at 1.8. I'm just walking up to the spot now. And I've also turned on the E-stabilization, so it will be cutting into the face very slightly now. So we're now on the highest quality the camera will do, on Apple ProRes 5.8K. So this is 10-bit all-I, 1.6 gigabit per second, so you're really going to start consuming a lot of your hard drive space up quite a lot here, and you're going to need a bit of a beastie computer to actually convert all this. So as I said earlier, we're shooting straight into Vlog. I'm just going to apply a Rec 709, probably a nicest, what do they call it, the nicest 709. I'll probably just apply that straight to all the footage. So this is how it looks. It's getting a little bit dark now. We're on 1.8 aperture still, and we're still actually on 640 ISO, so it's not too bad at that. If I change the aperture a little bit, give it a bit more depth of field here, that ISO is jumping up a little bit now. So we're now on 3200, we should see a bit more of the background. So we're still sticking with Apple ProRes on this one. This is in 1080p, all-I, so I think it's got a weird megabit per second frame rate on this. I think it's like 200 and something, but again, I'll pop that down the bottom. So that's the difference in 1080 as opposed to the 5.8K. I'm going to be delivering the footage though in 4K, so it will be downsampled slightly on the previous one. So we're heading back now. We've got the 18mm back on. I'm currently shooting again, back on the 4K all-eye on the camera, so it's about 800 megabit per second. It's in Apple ProRes. I am losing the light a little bit now. It's getting a bit late on. Unfortunately, it looks like it's about to start raining, so I didn't get quite as much footage out as I would have liked. But hopefully there's enough footage so we can compare. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a windy day actually, so I thought some of these reeds and things behind me here, if I can get it to focus on them, I thought some of these might be moving a little bit more actually in the shot, so we might be able to really test that bit rate out a bit more. But I'll try and come up with something we can do in the house, maybe with some running water or something like that, that might push the bit rate a little bit more, because usually YouTube compression in particular really struggles with moving water. I've had another channel I've got doing some audio work, and some of it's seascapes and things like that I've been videoing, and it tends to destroy the sea. You get loads of sort of artifacts and things like that with the compression ratio, but that wasn't on this camera, that was on a previous one, which was a Fuji X-T2, which isn't particularly known for its fantastic quality video. So I'd like to repeat the experiment really with this at some point to see if that bit rate will make a difference, or YouTube will still destroy it. I thought I'd just do one final video as walking here before we head back home to the office, before it starts absolutely throwing it down on me and I've got to put the camera away. This is actually the most basic that the camera will do, which you can get on basically anything, which is 1080p. I'm using the full frame of the sensor, so it's downsampling to get this, but it's in long GOP, so it is compressing the files as well, and it's only in 420. So this is sort of the smallest file size you can actually get on the unit. So I've had a few days now to look over the footage, and honestly, I was a little bit shocked about how small some of the differences were. If you look at the 4K MOV footage, for example, there's a little bit more sharpness in the fine details, particularly around the tops of the trees, but honestly, it's subtle. The biggest difference can be noticed with the Apple ProRes footage. It's a bit sharper and seems to retain quite a bit more detail. But is it? If you look at the 6K footage, you see the same difference, but as soon as you apply a bit of saturation and contrast, it's a bit harder to spot. I've applied a bit of a grade to the footage, boosting the exposure, changing the colours, and here there's a bit more of a difference. The Apple ProRes holds on to the detail a little bit more, but at 8 times the data rate, is it worth it? So the big question you may be asking yourself is, do I shoot 5.8K Apple ProRes or the 6K OpenGate? And really, it depends. If you're shooting for a big client and you need the top quality and you don't need to use the same footage for both your horizontal and vertical footage, then shoot the Apple ProRes, as long as you've got the facility to reliably edit and save all of this footage. But for most applications, the versatility and flexibility of having the extra few inches on the top and the bottom of the frame significantly outweighs any of the drawbacks. I mean, I'm shooting on 6K OpenGate right now and it looks fantastic. So I'm interested to know what you think. Can you tell the difference? What will you be shooting? Have you got any suggestions on how to revisit this topic in the future, possibly with some of the slow-mo footage? If you've made it this far into the video and you would like to see more content like this in the future, please consider subscribing. Bye for now.